Ace. He calls me Ace, so I've decided I can call him 9. It's so good to be here. It has been such a privilege to walk this walk at the beginning time with you. It was a brand new experience for all of us. And the interesting thing is, I had just said to the council meeting in January, I think I was here in March for the first time to meet with the elders, and I said to the council meeting in January, you know, half of our budget for the Episcopal Church in Minnesota is for outreach and special ministries. And I said, I don't know of another church in a given place, a diocese, where they do that. I said, it is just incredible. And I said, but it is so much that we can't start any new mission work for a while. Oh, and then Bill Olson comes to me and says, you know, Bishop Jim, we've really got to talk about these Hmong people that have been coming to see us, and we've got this family that would like to join. I said, a family? What do you mean by family? 5, 10 people, maybe 15? Oh no, I think it's going to be a lot more than that. So I said, okay, let's have a conversation. And I came one night, and of course, the men sat on one side, and the women sat on the other side, and they presented me with about 4.5 pages, single space, of questions. And I mean, these were not easy questions, and I could hear that they came out of a lot of pain, and a lot of wanting to trust, but a lot of reasons for not trusting. And they wanted to know how the Episcopal Church and how the bishop in the Episcopal Church in Minnesota was going to treat them, and whether they would have access, and whether we could talk together. And then they wanted to know, well, can our people get into the ordination process? And I thought, these folks are really thinking ahead. I mean, you don't usually get questions like that from people. You don't usually have, what should we say, the whole family coming in, whatever size that was going to be. It was a wonderful meeting, and it was just so powerful in so many ways. People were telling me their heartfelt stories. They were really wanting to learn about the Episcopal Church from my point of view, given the role that I had. And it was just a wonderful exchange. And we started teasing each other, because I'm always one of those who likes to use humor when I'm with people. And I also asked some pointed questions. I said, you know, you are a patriarchal culture, and the Episcopal Church is not anymore. And I said, we ordain women and have for a long time. And I said, while I would never force you to have a woman here as your rector or your priest, if any of the women from this congregation, once you come into the Episcopal Church, believes you have a vocation, we would listen to that. And we would be willing to walk with that person or those persons toward ordination. And I could see the men kind of looking at each other, and the women nodding their heads rather eagerly. The women, when I said to some of them, what about you? Or what? Oh no, they didn't want to do it. But at that point, that's changed, and I'm so glad. My job was really trying to help the diocese to become aware of you, and also to try to do some work with Father Bill about how we do this transition without losing the community that was here. And we lost so few people. I've rarely seen or heard of a transition like this. It was a phenomenal thing. And the people who had been in this congregation, and I see some of you sitting here, were just so willing to open your hearts. And it wasn't long before, one of the elders in the Anglo community said, oh, my grandson's marrying one of the Hmong people. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. So, things were happening quickly because people's hearts were open to one another. And I think the welcome was just stupendous by the community that was here. And I think those of you who came in to this community as Hmong people from another tradition were so willing to look into some new ways of being the church. And this has become just such a vital and vibrant congregation. I think it's been one of the best parts of my ministry here as the bishop. I want to tell another story. And that is at our 100, no, I want to correct something first. When I said let the candidates, I had said we would do the confirmations and receptions at St. Mark's Cathedral, not here. And the reason that I wanted us to do that was that so as many people from the diocese could come together to really welcome you and say, we own you as part of us. And so I promised that the first night I was here. And when we did that service, I asked Fred to come and preach, who was in charge of Asian ministries in the Episcopal Church as a whole. And he did. I asked my friend Dick Chang, who was at the time the Bishop of Hawaii and the only Asian bishop in the Episcopal Church, to come and help with the confirmations and receptions. And it wasn't just a little over 200, it was 275 that we confirmed and received tonight. That's a lot over 200, you know, a really lot. And it was just, when I said, let the candidates now be presented, and 275 people stood up and started coming toward us, I thought, oh my, this is just phenomenal. And you know, you could just feel the Spirit's presence. And the Saturday before at Diocesan Convention, we had ordained 5 Native Americans to the priesthood. And that liturgy was so filled with the Spirit, and here it was happening again 5 days later. I mean, we were in tears, we could hardly talk at times, because it was just so powerfully moving to all of us. And I remember at the 150th anniversary of the diocese, we had a slideshow, and in the slideshow, the third last slide was of Bishop Whipple on the plain at Fort Sibley, and he was confirming 100 Native Americans. And that was, there were a lot of people in this state who called him an Indian lover, and that was not seen as a compliment. But he did that, 100 on an occasion. And then the last slide, I think it was the confirmation and reception of all of you, or those of you who were there at the time. There have been more of you since. And I thought, as I saw that, here we are, the Diocese of Minnesota, being ourselves 150 years later. So you helped us continue being who we are as the Episcopal Church in Minnesota. And I am so grateful for that. And I hope you noticed that there was a picture of a woman here in a tall mitre and a chasuble, who celebrated the Eucharist here one day when she was making a visitation to the Episcopal Church in Minnesota. There was a presiding bishop, and I said to her, Bishop Catherine, I've got something that I could schedule you at the cathedral on Sunday morning or something else, but I said, I think I've got an experience for you that would warm your heart and give you a sense of mission and energy and all of this that would be far more exciting than going to the cathedral. Sorry, cathedral, but you know. And I said, so I'd like you to go to Holy Apostles to our Hmong congregation. And she said, oh, I'd love that. And so here she was. It was a wonderful, wonderful occasion. I wish I could have been here with her, but I was someplace else. Anyway, thank you again for the privilege. And it is so wonderful to see you all tonight, to see these pews filled. When my first visitations here, you could have shot off a shotgun in here and not hit anybody. I'm afraid it had gotten that small. So thank you so much.